Madame Curie was an astounding woman whose legendary feats inspired thousands and helped tens of thousands more. With her discoveries of the elements of radium and polonium, she single-handedly created the field of radioactivity and revolutionized the field of medicine. Her research allowed for the creations of X-ray machines, which saved the lives of soldiers in World War I and the first attempts at fighting cancers. Even from the start of her childhood, Marie was a remarkable girl. She learned to read at age 4. She was only 8 when her sister, Zosia, caught typhus and died. Marie's mother also died 3 years later, losing a 5-year battle with tuberculosis. Yet, overcoming these losses, she soon became the star student in her class. At home, her passion for reading showed. Marie's siblings often built a fort around her while she was reading, just to see how long it took her until she noticed. Madame Curie was an amazing woman who overcame some of the most difficult things that anyone ever has or indeed can. As soon as she was born, she faced the tremendous challenge of being brought up in a conquered, defeated country, and being forced to speak a language that was not hers. She was forced to adopt another culture's customs, and was taught that they were superior. Even after overcoming this hardship, she voluntarily took the job of a governess. She did this all to help her own sister with no thought to herself. Life as a governess was unrewarding and harsh, a livelihood that crushed her hopes and dreams. Governesses were considered of the lowest class, enough that the family of the man she had planned to marry refused to let him because she was a governess. She later attended the Sorbonne, living on the rough equivalent of $100 a month. She quite literally ate cherries as her only food and fainted from the lack of food. Not only this, but she was dealing with the fact that she came from a relatively backwater country and was in a French school that used a completely different language from the one that she was brought up in. While all of this was going on, she still had to deal with the prejudices against women that almost everyone had. And possibly the most difficult trial she underwent was her most important and stunning accomplishment: the discovery of the element of polonium. Marie and Pierre were forced to work in a shed for years, sorting through tons of material to try and extract one bit of this new hypothetical substance. And on April 19th, 1906, Pierre Curie was killed in a street accident. This loss greatly affected Madame Curie. She wrote that she had become, as of that moment, an incurably and wretchedly lonely person. And during World War I, a war that was, as one veteran described it, a hell of shell fire, Madame Curie drove towards it, voluntarily to help soldiers. She encouraged other rich women to donate their Rolls Royces to the war effort, to scan soldiers for bullet wounds with x-rays of her own devising. She put their lives above her own. Yet, through all of this, all of these hardships, Madame Curie never broke. Indeed, she flourished and accomplished in one lifetime what most do in 10. When the Russians tried to break her national pride, she toughed it out, only spoke the invaders' language to them, spit on their statue, and eventually moved to France. When she was faced with the problem of not knowing a foreign language, she learned it while she was taking advanced courses in it. She was so focused on her work that she often forgot to eat. When her country was in trouble, she decided to help it, effectively donating her own money in the form of war bonds, and risking her life to help soldiers on the front line by scanning them for bullet wounds. And throughout all of this, she never broke, and indeed was still able to find time for her personal life. She was a loving mother to Irene and Eve Curie. Madame Curie was truly a remarkable woman whose discoveries helped to shape the future of science. To succeed, she had to overcome a number of prejudices, trials, and tribulations. As Albert Einstein said, she is probably the only person that was not corrupted by the fame she had won. Through everything, she was still able to be a caring wife and mother. Madame Curie was an extraordinary woman, and even though she has died, she will never leave our hearts and our minds.